Welcome to the Lifetime Assembly channel. My name is Kai, and today I'm going to help you assemble your 7-foot by 7-foot Architect Series outdoor storage shed. Before we get started, make sure the model number of your shed is listed in the description down below. This video will follow the steps outlined in the assembly manual that comes with the shed. So, if you've already begun and need help on a specific step, check the description below for a timestamp associated with each step. There are steps in this assembly that require 2 people, so make sure you have at least one other adult available to help. Before we get into the assembly process, let's take a look at the tools you'll need to complete the job. You may want to pause the video now so you can gather the supplies shown on the screen. You may see us use an impact driver. If you decide to use one also, be very careful not to over-torque or over-tighten the hardware. You will also need additional tools to prepare foundation for your shed, so refer to your manual to see what other resources you will need. All Lifetime sheds are required to be built on a foundation. We recommend that you build your foundation out of concrete, but you can also use lumber. This video is meant to be a companion to the assembly manual and not a direct replacement. So, for the best results, have the assembly manual on hand as you complete the build. It is also crucial that you refer to the assembly manual to review the safety instructions of this build to prevent serious injury or property damage. All right, let's get started. This section goes over the requirements for the foundation of your shed. This video will focus on the assembly of the shed and not the foundation. So refer to your manual in section 1 to see how to properly build the foundation for your shed. If you have additional questions regarding the foundation, feel free to reach out to our customer service team at the number below. Line up the holes on the end of the truss channels, then secure with the hardware. Next, line up the holes in the end of the truss brace with the holes in the gutter channel, then secure with the hardware. Making sure that the carriage bolt goes on the inside of the gutter channel. Align the gable halves labeled EWA and EVZ. Then secure with the hardware in these 2 locations. Insert a screw into the front of the gable halves in these 2 locations, then on the back, secure them with a washer and nut. Place the vent on the front of the gable oriented like this. Then secure with the hardware on the back. Now, insert an end cap onto each end of the header. Now, place the header onto the back of the gable, making sure that the oblong holes in the header line up with the divots on the back of the gable. There are two small holes on the header. Make sure they are facing downwards and that the oblong hole closest to the two small holes is on the right side of the gable. Then secure the header to the gable with the hardware. Now, repeat this process for the rear gable halves labeled AGH and AGI. On the gable, where the header bar is lower down, place the locking bracket over these small holes, oriented like this, and secure with the hardware. Grab a hinge tube with the slits in the top and bottom and slide it into the door. Make sure you can see the slit in the tube on both ends at the bottom and top of the door. Now, on the opposite end of the door, make sure the two holes in the square tube line up with the holes in the door. Then slide the tube into the bottom of the door, making sure to leave a little bit hanging out at the end. Then insert an end cap into the bottom of the tube. Then finish sliding the tube until it sits flush with the bottom of the door. Make sure the holes in the square tube line up with these two holes in the door. Position the left latch bracket over these two holes on the front of the door, then secure into place on the back. Be careful not to over-tighten the hardware. Next, drill two holes at the bottom and top of the door in these locations, making sure to only go through the first layer of plastic and metal. Line up the holes in the spacer with the holes you just drilled at the bottom of the door, making sure it's oriented like this. Then place the deadbolt over the top, making sure it's oriented with the spring facing closest to the opening of the door, like this. Make sure the latch slides freely. If it does not, slightly loosen the hardware. Now, repeat this process at the top of the door, making sure the spacer and latch are oriented like this. Connect the two halves of the handle, place it on the front of the door, and secure with the hardware on the back. Locate this narrow groove on the outside of the window. Place the tape going all the way around. Remove the film from both sides of the window. Then place the window onto the back side of the door. Making sure that the holes in the window panel line up with the divots in the door. Then secure with the hardware. Be careful not to over-tighten the hardware. Now, taking the door for the right side of the shed, make sure that these two holes in the square tube will line up with these two holes in the door. Then insert the tube into the hole at the bottom of the door. Make sure there's still a little bit left of the square tube hanging out at the bottom. Then insert a cap and finish sliding the tube until it's flush with the bottom of the door. Then make sure the holes are still clear for the door and the square tube. Place the latch bracket over the holes on the front of the door like this. Then secure with the hardware. Next, attach the two halves of the handle together like this, placing the handle on the front of the door, lining up these holes and securing with the hardware on the back. Next, take the hinge tube with the slits in the top and the bottom, insert it into the bottom of the door, making sure that some sticks out on both ends. Next, locate this groove on the outside of the window. Place the tape going all the way around. Then remove the film from both sides of the window. Now, place the window on the back side of the door, making sure that the holes in the window panel line up with the divots in the door. Then, secure with the hardware. Be careful not to over-tighten the hardware. Lift a floor panel at an angle, making sure to slide the tabs along the edge underneath the opposing panel. Then, lay the panel down flat to interlock them. Next, insert a screw into each of the divots along the seam of the two floor panels. Then, attach the strike plate at the front of the shed into this groove here, oriented like this. Then, secure with the hardware. Take a wall panel labeled AHD. Insert a wall support tube into each of the two holes at the bottom of the wall panel, making sure to insert them all the way. If you're having a hard time getting the wall support tube to go in all the way, use a rubber mallet. Then, repeat this process for two more wall panels labeled AHD. Take a corner panel labeled AGN and insert a hinge tube, making sure to leave a few inches hanging out at the top and the bottom. Then, repeat this process with the other corner panel labeled AGY. On this edge, insert the tabs at the bottom of the corner panel labeled AGY into these two cutouts on the corner of the floor panels. Slide the panel towards the round hole to lock it into place. I'm comfortable doing this with my foot, but if you are not, use a block and a rubber mallet. Lean the panel away from the floor and fold it in half. Then, line up the tabs at the bottom with the cutouts in the floor. Next, apply downward pressure to lock into place. If you're having a hard time getting the tabs to go into place, place a block under each tab individually and apply downward pressure to lock them into place. Raise the hinge tube a few inches. Then lower the hinge tube through the cap and into the floor. Insert the tabs along the bottom of a wall panel labeled AHD into the cutouts on the floor. Then slide it towards the previous panel to lock it into place. Make sure the wall panels are level along the top. Then insert a clip into each of the 4 cutouts. Apply downward pressure to lock them into place. Next, add the corner panel labeled AGW using the same process as the previous corner panel. Then add another wall panel labeled AHD. Then add another corner panel labeled AGW. Then add the last wall panel labeled AHD. Now install the front left corner wall panel labeled AGN. This one will also have the hinge tube support. Raise the hinge tube up a few inches. Then place the hinge cap oriented like this in this location. Then lower the hinge tube back down, making sure it goes through the hinge cap and back into the floor. Insert a roof support tube into each of the 2 notches on the roof panel, making sure that they click into place. Then repeat this process for the remaining roof panels. Now place the hinge tube on the left door into the hinge cap, making sure that the slit on the bottom of the hinge tube rests in the nub on the hinge cap. Then repeat this process for the right door. Slide another hinge cap over the 2 tubes on each door, making sure that the slit in the door tube rests in the nub of the hinge cap again. Now add the entry gable, the one with the bracket on the bottom, sliding it onto the tubes over the doors. Now, line up the holes in the wall panels with the holes in the entry gable and secure with the hardware. Now, add the truss at the top of the wall panels. There are 4 tabs on the gable and 4 notches in the roof panel. Make sure the tabs go into the notches. Then push the panel forwards towards the peak of the gable to lock them into place. While one person holds the truss, have another lift a roof panel onto the gable and the truss. Line up the 6 holes at the top of the wall panel with the holes in the roof panel. Then secure into place with the hardware. Now secure the truss to the roof panel in these 4 locations. Now repeat this process on the opposite side. Now place the rear gable onto the back wall and secure into place with the 12 screws. Repeat the previous process, adding 2 more roof panels to the back of the shed. Go ahead and push up. There we go. Sweet. Place an end cap onto the front of the shed and then secure into place with the 2 screws on the back side. Slightly bend the skylight, then place it onto the roof and into the end cap. Attach the skylight with a screw on each side nearest to the end cap. Next, attach a center connector to the opposite end of the skylight. Then, bend the other skylight slightly and place it into the center connector. Now, place the rear end cap onto the gable and the skylight. Then, secure the end cap to the gable on the inside of the shed. Now, finish securing the skylight through the remaining 14 holes. Be very careful as you add the hardware. Now, take the clip, making sure the arrow is facing up, place it in this location on the back wall. This shed comes with 6 wall hooks. They can be placed anywhere in the shed in these notches. If you're having a difficult time closing the latch, loosen the hardware on the left latch bracket. Then go inside of the shed, having someone else close the latch, then retighten the hardware. Next, you need to make sure that your doors are level. Click this link here to see a video or refer to your manual in section 10 to see how to properly level your doors. This section goes over how to anchor your shed to your foundation. Since we're indoors, we're not going to be able to do that, but it's important that you do. So refer to your manual in section 11 to see how to properly anchor your shed to your foundation. Thank you for watching this video on how to assemble your Lifetime 7-foot by 7-foot Architect Series outdoor storage shed. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up. For more content like this, subscribe to our channel. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to our customer service team and check out our other amazing products at lifetime.com.